Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Thursday the 12th of December 2024. This is episode 340. We're back, Damon, hooray!
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it was nice. I was telling Joel, it was nice little break, just to kind of recharge the batteries and get back into the swing of things. And, we didn't have to sit through World Tag League. And I just like the fact that we have this annual tradition of handing over the mic to other people to let them do the dirty work. I like that. And everybody sounded very, very good. Excellent job by everyone. I appreciate everyone coming through and putting their best foot forward and watching crappy World Tag League.
Thank you to Elliot and John and Kaz, who filled in for us. Yep. I enjoyed listening to the episodes. You guys did great. We really appreciate you stepping in, and it gave me a chance to do some things that I've been meaning to do for a while with the podcast, specifically launching the Patreon, which I was kind of forced into doing for tax reasons, because I didn't want it to be a tax burden to our friends Joe and Rich, who run Voices of Wrestling. Mm. So we've got 3 tiers running at the moment. There's the $2 tier, which you get nothing for that, but the satisfaction of giving us money, that's just the little tip jar, just showing some appreciation for what we do. There's a $5 tier, which is access to Discord and the deli, but I make no promises about the frequency and the quality of what we get in the deli. Like, this year was a big year for the deli. We got some good shit, but I can't guarantee that is going to continue indefinitely, just by the nature of the business. The people we talk to might get fired or decide they hate us or get into trouble or whatever. So, yeah, when you get stuff, it's a bonus. I mean, I consider the $5 tier as also showing appreciation for what we do, and maybe you might get some fun stuff. And there was a lot of good stuff this year, so there's that. $10 tier, I'm thinking with extra audio content. I've already put a couple of things on that. There's some old audio I did with Forrest Sower. We did 3 hours talking about Dark Souls bosses, and also an extra little tidbit. I had a 45-minute chat with the lovely lads over at We Work Stiff, Josh and Dave. So we talked about sort of big picture New Japan 2024 thoughts. So that is also available on the $10 tier. And again, I don't want to commit us to anything regular. It's kind of as and when we feel like it. And I'm trying something out here. We are live streaming this on YouTube. One, see if it works, and two, just see if there's an appetite for it, see if people would enjoy participating in that. And maybe if it goes all right, we can do stuff like live reactions after Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty and big shows and things like that.
Yeah, look at us. Look at us with the well, look at you actually with the motivation and the
Yeah, let's be clear here. It's me putting in all the extra work, so all the money is resting in my account until we can decide what to do with it.
That's perfect.
But I mean, in terms of extra content, I don't want to do any extra New Japan Pro Wrestling related content because I think I'm very happy just keeping it to the 2 hours a week with you. Maybe like the extra sort of crossover stuff here and there for big occasions. But I think we're both in agreement that we just want to do extra content about stuff that we like, talking to people we like. Like you had an idea about doing mixtapes, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And I love the idea. I don't know. Maybe it's the old man in me, but the idea of a mixtape and getting one with not a lot of information about the bands. Like you would just get a tape and you would just pop it in and you would listen and you'd be like, oh, that song's great, or that song stinks, or whatever the case. But then there is that little bit of exploration that needed to occur to be like, okay, who's that band? Who's singing? So yeah, I kind of wanted to do something along those lines. And again, I have one done, but I just haven't had the balls to just release it. I don't know why, but it's done. It's literally, it wasn't hard, but yeah. So stuff like that. And again, I think that's a good spot for, like, if we wanted to do interviews, you know, if somebody wanted to pop on, again, we're kind of soured a little bit on interviews for multiple reasons, but you know, that might be a nice place for that. You know, just shit like that. So again, my biggest fear is, will people give a fuck? You know what I mean? And if they do give a fuck, are they getting value? So that's it for me. Like, I just don't want to put something out there that's I wouldn't be proud of. Even though I do this show every week and we've had some stinkers. Oh well.
No, we haven't. Which ones were stinkers?
Oh, we've had
How dare you?
We've had shows where we've been like, oh, that was a fucking turd. But yeah. But you know what, though? Probably not as many as I would want to believe. You know, we actually, there are times where we get on this and we're just like, we're two miserable fucks. And we're just like, oh, we got so much going on and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it still turns out to be quite entertaining. So, all right. So that's that. Look at us. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to retire and buy my boat. My RV from RV Sale Guy. You know, whatever.
Yeah, excellent stuff. I have also sorted out the year-end awards ballot.
Oh,
so that is currently live, but I've not shared the link anywhere apart from the Discord.
Okay.
So just wanted to... Well, one, I was waiting to see if there was anything in World Tag League that might make the list. And we'll come on to that. I put the World Tag League finals because people seem to enjoy it. Do I hold off until the Road to Tokyo Dome shows are finished? I'm not going to. I'm happy to release that now.
Yeah.
So by the time you're listening to this on the podcast version, I will put it out on Twitter and Blue Sky and pin it to the Discord somewhere so you can vote in our year-end awards. And because we didn't have time to squeeze it in last year, so I'm hoping we can perhaps do that after the Road to Tokyo Dome shows and before Wrestle Kingdom itself.
That'd be good.
But in terms of our Wrestle Kingdom preview, probably just going to be the two of us, unless it's just going to be us, isn't it?
I think so, right? Yeah, I think we're at the point where we're comfortable with it just being us. Yeah, I mean, let's leave it at that. You know, I mean, let's leave it at that.
Now, moving from our awards to the less prestigious Tokyo Sports Awards. Mm-hmm. Did you see the winners of the Tokyo Sports Award for this year?
No, I have not. Now my interest
is... I was hoping you're going to say yes, because now I've got to look them up.
Oh, no. I've got them now. Okay, you got them.
I've got them.
They do a good job of getting everybody involved. You know, when I say good job, they do get every promotion usually involved in those awards. And again, the jury is still out on, you know, how much of it is I scratch my back, you scratch your back, or you know, I mean, somebody's scratching something. Okay, let's hear them. Let's hear them.
So the MVP was Zack Sabre Jr.
Ooh.
Best match was Yota Tsuji versus Hiroki Goto in the New Japan Cup final. Do you just want the ones that have got New Japan involvement, or do you want all of them?
I mean, you don't have to give me every single one. Just give me the ones that you think I'd be interested in.
Well, I mean, by the nature of these things, it's very political, so they share the awards out amongst the other promotions. So, women's grand prize was Sari, outstanding performer Yuma Anzai from All Japan, Fighting Spirit Awards Kaito Kiyomiya from Noah, Technique Award Shinya Aoki, Best Tag Team the Saito Brothers, and Rookie of the Year Oleg Boltin. So, in terms of New Japan winners, we got MVP, Best Match, and Rookie of the Year.
That's good. Are you surprised with the Rookie of the Year award? I'm a little bit. Just having that recognition, that's pretty crazy, I think. All right.
Yeah, well, the man has an illustrious never six-man tag title reign.
Sure, good point.
You wouldn't know it from looking at the way that the product is booked in the Wrestle Kingdom card, but yeah, there you go. The Rookie of the Year, not even on the Wrestle Kingdom card. So there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Rookie malpractice, as usual.
We got to take over. We got to. Well, it seems like they leaned into a little bit of a lot of what you were saying from probably like the springtime of this year when you were talking about the idea of Naito and Hiromu. So, I mean, I feel like somebody listens because I think we nail a lot of it. So, okay, yeah, that was they're just, I don't know. I like the fact that they spread them around, but then again, I don't know if it's always like the most deserving person because they have to fill in the All Japan gap or whatever. Yeah, okay, very cool. Tokyo Sports.
Let's get straight onto the World Tag League finals. I mean, there were some other bits and pieces that happened on the finals themselves, but I think they are better discussed within the context of looking at the Wrestle Kingdom card, because outside of the main event, in terms of match quality, I don't think there was anything particularly outstanding here. So unless there's anything from the undercard you really want to talk about, shall we go straight to the final?
Final.
Okay, let's do that then. Mally has just turned on her Thai TV in an adjacent room. I'm just wondering if that is picked up on the audio for anyone. If it is, let me know. Otherwise, I'll continue. So the World Tag League final, as I predicted, I think. I mean, it's a while ago that we recorded, so I can't quite remember what I said. But I think I said it would be LIJ versus Sonata and Gabe Kidd. And it was. Although the winner that I predicted... Oh, no, she's come in the room. She's leaning over me.
Get her running.
Get her phone. Oh, God. See, this is the extra bonus content you get by listening live.
Right.
So, Mally interrupting the show, connectivity issues, my children waking up and crying, probably lots of coughing and sniffing, the cat meowing at me. It's worth every penny, I think.
It is. The people get behind the scenes. They see behind the curtain. They see what kind of magic Dan pulls with the editing of this show. Yes. All right. Yeah, World Tag League was fine. I thought it was weird, to say the least.
The final specifically?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure that there was some finagling and positioning due to injuries and stuff like that. But, yeah, I just thought it was, I don't know. Look, I know that they had to get from point A to point B and find a way to get this match on the books, right? The Naito and Hiromu. Here's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that the World Tag League was decided and the winners were not a real tag team. And it was kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but it was kind of pointless, wasn't it? Like, I understand they kept pounding in your head that, listen, the people who win, the team that wins, doesn't necessarily have to challenge for the titles at Wrestle Kingdom. You know, they had to constantly remind you of that, so you knew some fucking hijinks was up. I don't know.
And if we look at the Super Junior Tag League, the team that didn't win can challenge for the belts at WrestleMania. So, I think between the two tag leagues, it's just left me very confused. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're just tag leagues, so I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I agree with you that I'm sort of scratching my head at thinking, well, what does this mean? What is the significance of winning these tournaments?
Right. I mean, apparently not much. You get the cute little trophy, and that's that. And I think that there could have been, again, do I think that this was the plan all along? I'm going to give you a maybe, but
yeah, we had a question about that.
Yeah, I'll give you a maybe. I just don't see how. And again, I don't see. I think they were just fucked, and they had to again find a way to get the match, out in front of everybody.
But do you think like the winning World Tag League was the only appropriate vehicle to get to Hiromu versus Naito? Because I said all along that there wasn't going to be like a breakup. There were not going to be a conflict where they're attacking each other. Oh, you cost me victory in the World Tag League. I hate you now. We're going to have a match at Wrestle Kingdom. It was only ever going to be, let's have a match because we're mates. And that's exactly what happened. So the fact that they won the World Tag League in the build-up to that almost seems incidental rather than a necessary cause of it.
Correct. I mean, and like I said, you have in this promotion like legitimate tag teams that probably could have used that win. And
who would you have picked? Who do you think deserved the win?
All right, but
to win with a benefit, yeah.
Okay. You mean to tell me we couldn't do? I don't know. So, well, here's the problem. You know what? I think you just proved me right in the sense of we maybe didn't have that tag team that on paper is a legitimate tag team. Like both teams were in the finals were kind of, I don't want to say thrown together teams, but they were both kind of thrown together.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the question. As Louis says, were the winners of the Tag League final a pivot from the original winners? Had Henare not gotten injured, were him and Okan supposed to win? I mean, let's just stick a pin in the Henare injury for a moment. We'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, I still had this sort of fantasy booking thing in my head where Gabe Kidd and Sanada would win, and then they would face Okan and Henare at Wrestle Kingdom because there's history between those guys. Then you could have Henare and Okan winning, and they can beat the shit out of each other. Henare, Gabe Kidd, Tokyo Dome, lots of violence. And then the next night, Gabe Kidd's got to go out there after taking a beating from Henare and Okan, and then he's got to wrestle Kenny Omega.
Right.
And he's definitely losing that as well. And then he can say, "Oh, because I got such a beating on the night before," and then he gets kicked out of War Dogs. I mean, I'm kind of getting carried away with this, but I did. That kind of made more sense to me than Hiromu and Naito winning. But it's by the by. That was just strictly a hypothetical. I don't feel that it was a hard pivot. I don't think Henare and Okan were supposed to win. Just the fact that they've been laying it on so thick about the winners not necessarily having to challenge at Wrestle Kingdom. I felt that Henare and Okan having the belts was an easy way to have them drop it to the Young Bucks on January 5th. Which was an interesting choice, to say the least, to have the Young Bucks issuing their challenge right in the middle of the fucking tournament.
I know.
But my opinion is that the Young Bucks ain't going to be flying over there to eat no pinfalls, right? They left New Japan under circumstances that were not to their liking. They wanted a big send-off. When was this? We're sort of going back to early 2019. They didn't get it. So I think they were quite happy to come back to wrestle for New Japan in the Tokyo Dome, providing that they're the winners and walking out of there with the tag team titles. And I think Henare and Okan were perfectly serviceable tag team to do that. I think Young Bucks win the titles. You save Young Bucks against Hiromu and Naito for the US, because I don't think that's a match you shove on the undercard of Wrestle Dynasty. I think Young Bucks versus Naito and Hiromu is something that could headline one of those US shows.
Yeah.
And, might do a pretty good number. So that's the direction I think it goes, with Young Bucks winning the titles against Okan and whoever. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the new recruit Templario or if he's going to bring someone else in. Maybe he brings Will Ospreay in. I don't know. That has a nice sort of narrative value to it, although it would be booking malpractice to have Will Ospreay booked for your Tokyo Dome show and not announce it. So probably not going to be him. Could be Jeff Cobb. Maybe he's going to pull double duty. Don't know who it's going to be at this point, but I don't think it matters. I think either way, the Young Bucks are walking out of there with the belts, and sometime in the future, in 2025, Naito and Hiromu are going to beat them for it in America.
So you just booked it. You just booked out, 6 months, 8 months in what? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? And which sounded 1,000 times more interesting than the end result of what we got, right? like it was just. I don't want to say it was lazy, but the fact that we have people that question, okay, was that the original way they wanted to go? And that, to me, that just seems like, dare I say, lazy booking. Like we they just did all this tournament for weeks, and then at the end of the day, it's tag league. Who the fuck cares? We just got to get our semi-main event on paper. So I don't know.
You think it is necessary for the winner of this tournament and the tag titles to be defended, for those teams to be facing each other at Wrestle Kingdom? You think that's important?
I do. Because what's the point, right? Again,
it's supposed to be a showcase for tag teams, not a vehicle to crowbar in a big singles match.
Yeah,
that's unrelated to the tag division,
right? On a team that let's be honest here, was kind of put together, just for the tournament. Like it's just, I don't know. Everything just seemed very. It was so lazy that I had to believe that it was not the original plan. You know what I mean? Like it was just so shoehorned, as that like it's hard for me to sit here and say, "Yep, this is the way they wanted to go." Because again, in 2 minutes, you laid out a scenario that would last this company 8 months. And it didn't seem like it was like you broke a sweat doing it, So
yeah, I still think that's the direction they're going in next year. But I may be sort of looking at this through the lens of Naito Hiromu singles match being announced, which we certainly predicted on the Jcast. Burning Hammer says Naito's having his 4th eye surgery before Wrestle Kingdom. Does this tie in to the Hiromu match being a possible retirement match? I don't think so. No, I think if it's a retirement match, you announce that shit as a retirement match long in advance to squeeze as much money out as you can. But William says, do you think announcing the Hiromu Naito, keep saying Naito match a month before the Dome was a good decision? So it's a bit curious how they've got here and announcing their semi-main event, because according to the current lineup, that is the match that's going on before Zack versus Shota. And that's a good spot for it. But announcing it a month before the show is interesting, and maybe in retrospect makes it a bit more understandable why we took the belt off of Naito and put it on Zack at King of Pro Wrestling, because we wanted to get to this point. But I don't know, it just all feels a bit messy to me.
It is a little bit messy, but I can't imagine that, just for the exact reason that you mentioned, of this being any type of retirement match. Now, that's not to say that he might not, be as active as, on the New Beginning tour, right? He might take a little time off, but if it's a retirement thing, pro wrestling rule number one is, we're going to use that to sell tickets. And the fact that they haven't mentioned anything like that, I don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand, the Dome isn't selling all that great, is it? So I would think that they like it just to kind of kickstart.
Nothing's selling all that great.
What's that?
William said nothing's selling that great. William says, comparing the total attendance of Tag League from the previous year and this year, is it odd that the attendance was down when they had main players on the tour? I mean, we've put Hiromu and Naito front and center here, and it's done fewer tickets than it did last year. And I'm sure there's other mitigating factors there, but that combined with the slow Wrestle Kingdom sales, it's bit of an eyebrow raiser, and to be expected to some extent with, Osprey and Okada and Tamatonga, Big Draw Tama not being there, that you'd expect things to be down a bit. And I don't necessarily think this Wrestle Kingdom card is one that is going to do a gangbusters number. But just looking at the World Tag League ticket sales in isolation, that's a bit curious that they, I won't say loaded it up, but, they put a lot of big names in there who wouldn't normally be in Tag League on account of the usual wisdom of not having guys with singles titles or guys with Wrestle Kingdom matches involved in World Tag League, but they skipped that this year. They did it a different way, and they put all those guys in. You had your Shingo and Zack and Naito and your biggest stars that they've got, but we're doing a smaller number than last year.
It's concerning. I'm not going to lie. Because while World Tag League, you can take or leave, whatever your feelings are, and we all know how personally we feel about World Tag League. I'm more concerned with Wrestle Kingdom and that weekend, and the idea of those ringside seats that usually just go, the fan club just swipes them up, and they're hard. They're a hard ticket to get. The fact that even those, are, to a certain degree, are somewhat available. Look, we all knew that eventually we would be at the spot where we're leaning on our young stars to carry the ball a little bit here. Now, again, I'm sure that the debate rages on of if you think people are worthy to be in spots that they're in. The bottom line is that collectively, this is not the first time that we talked about tickets and we've talked about numbers being down. And a lot of times we're like, we don't know the fact that we can't judge it by one show. We can't sit here, the good and the bad. You're going to have ebbs and flows. It feels like we've talked about the downward trend, less than years previous, less than last year for the same shows. Again, losing the talent that they did, you would tend to say, okay, yeah, we can expect some losses just because, the major fucking stars of this promotion have left. There still has to be a time where you say, okay, these are the guys, and we gotta get through this. And some of that is on the wrestlers, right? I mean, they're just not at the same level of the people that left. And B, some of it has to be on the promotion, because I don't think they've done a great job of in certain cases of making guys seem as credible as possible. So, yeah,
I think there was always going to be a period of teething pains where you are elevating that next generation.
Yep.
And that's happened this year, but it's unfortunate that they couldn't have done that whilst Okada and Osprey were still with the company to mitigate that. It took them leaving for it to happen, and you expect a bit of a downturn while that's happening and you're in that transitional phase. But yeah, in an ideal world, then they would have started that ball rolling at least 12 months before they did. But here we are. And I think it's ironic, really, that we're getting Hiromu versus Naito now. What is it? 4 years?
4 years
after?
in? Yeah.
Yeah, no, more than that, I think. After it was originally announced for that anniversary show that got cancelled because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they've not gone back to it until now, despite us fans clamouring for it. Because I think the reason they've held out so long is because they've needed Hiromu and Naito to prop up their respective divisions. I mean, Naito has been ridden into the dirt since the pandemic, and I think you could say the same for Hiromu and the junior division. Now they're coming back to that singles match when they're both past their prime. And I don't know how you feel about the Hiromu Naito singles match now. I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular from an in-ring standpoint. If you imagine if they did this even before it was announced of the pandemic. You know, imagine if they'd done that before Hiromu got his big neck injury. Like if they'd done it in, I don't know, 2017 or early 2018 or something like that. It would have been fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That could have been like a legitimate all-timer. Now, there's a lot of narrative value to it, but from an in-ring standpoint, I'm a little bit nervous about it.
Me too. You know, correct. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this would have been, you know, from an in-ring perspective, I think there would be a lot of excited fans. There would be a lot of excited people. And again, the Dome does magical things and can, you know, help elevate a match to a very good match to a great match. And it can elevate a great match to an all-timer. Yeah, I can't sit here and say that I don't have some concerns, but I will also say that like at their peak and at their primes, you're talking about two of, you know, the best wrestlers on the roster. I think they can pull it out. Like I think they'll find a way to make it great. But yeah, I mean, I think the doubts that you're saying, I think a lot of people are saying, and you know, does the idea of this match capture people's imaginations still? And I don't know if that's the case. Like, not only am I talking about like the ring quality, but also like people buzzing about it. Like, I don't think anybody's like, it's not a buzzworthy match in my mind. Now,
the buzz is not buzzable.
That is a quote that we have used. The buzz is not buzzable. So, you know, look, I get it. I get why they did it. I get why they wanted to do it.
It was now or never, really, wasn't it?
Oh, it had to be. Yeah. We can't wait another second if we ever wanted to do this. Now, again, maybe this is something that leads to the idea. Again, there's plenty of places you can go with this. You could say, okay, if Naito's taking some time off, you know, does that elevate Hiromu out of juniors and now he's a heavy?
Oh, not this again.
Well, right, but that, you know what I mean? But like, okay, so but that's on the table, right? I mean, but also, you know, on the table is, you know, Hiromu losing because he's you know what I mean? Like, that's always on the table too.
Naito's in a tiny little 7-minute,
right,
vaguely competitive match. Just, you know, hits the secondary finisher, hits the Puma Blanca.
right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't feel like this is this dream matchup that it would have been 5 years ago. And it's your semi-main at this point. So interesting times.
Can I just cycle back to the actual World Tag League final match itself?
No.
Naito against Gabe and Sanada. What did you like the match? What did you think of the match?
I thought the match was good. I mean, honestly, it was the one thing that I thought stood out from everything else. I don't think it was a great match. I don't think it was anything where I'm like, you know, let's put it as like the fact that it might be included in the end of year awards. I don't know. It's not going to get my vote. That's for sure.
A bit generous there.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, but that's fine.
Off quite slow. The end picked up and the crowd were really into it and it was exciting. But yeah, it wasn't the match layout I personally would have gone for. But I mean, this is the world we're living in, right? When Naito is working a match like this, you got to pace it accordingly, haven't you? I don't think you can do the sort of sprint style match that I might have liked.
And Sanada help.
I'm going to ask you a tough question here. How did it stack up to last year's World Tag League final of ELP and Hikuleo against Bishamon?
I liked that more than I like this.
Yeah, I like that one more too. People are going to hate us for saying that. But
sorry, but I don't think but here's the thing. I think if people are honest, they would probably say the same thing. Or at least it would be a somewhat of a struggle, right? Like if you really liked this World Tag League final, and then you went back and watched last year's World Tag League final. I think, I don't know. So I don't want to say recency bias. I don't want to say that. I mean, listen, there are plenty of people that listen to this show that, love Naito, love Hiromu, love LIJ. And I'm not going to sit here and say they can do no wrong, but, when you have a little bit of a personal bias, maybe, I think if you watched both back to back, I think the majority of people will come to that conclusion that they liked last year's better than this one.
Okay, Troy says, can you think of a year, aside from this year, wherein all New Japan tournament finals had a floor of good to great? And William says, if you had to rank the 4 major tournaments this year for New Japan, what would the list look like? And I'm going to change William's question and ask you to rank the 4 finals. So, New Japan Cup final, Tsuji versus Goto. G1 final, Zack versus Tsuji. Super Junior Tag final of Catch 2-2 against Ichiban Sweet Boys. And then this match.
I would go juniors first, honestly. I would go juniors first, maybe even New Japan Cup second.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Best of the Super Juniors. I'm so sorry, juniors. What was that? Who was that? Well, that was Ishimori against Despy, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I think the junior tag.
Junior tag?
Junior tag. Yeah. I mean, that was really great.
I think I'm with you on that one. That was my favorite. That was fucking awesome.
Right.
The tag one, I mean.
Yeah. I might go New Japan Cup second. I might go New Japan Cup second. G1 was good, very good. Don't get me wrong. I think this World Tag League was last.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was last.
To answer Troy's question, I don't think I could name all the tournament finals for another year.
I know.
No, I'm struggling. Like, if I went back to the glory years, like, let's say, if I picked 2017...
Like Juice and Finley or Shibata and Goto or okay.
Yeah, 2017 we had, let's see, it's just a thought exercise, can I remember this? So New Japan Cup was Shibata against Fale, I think. Does that sound right? And then Best of the Super Juniors was Ospreay Kushida. Yeah. That was really good.
Yeah.
G1 was Naito Kenny, spectacular.
Yeah. And that G1, keep in mind, like those semifinal matches were pretty awesome too, if my memory serves me right. So like Kenny went back to back, like with just fucking great matches. Yeah. Okay.
I can't even remember what the tag league ones were. It was Evil and Sanada who won that tag league, but I can't tell you who they beat in the final or anything about the matches.
I don't think there's a World Tag League that would beat any other final. Let's put it that way. Like, think of
just as a little thing, I'm going to sprinkle in here the 2016 World Tag League final, which I think was Gorillas of Destiny against GBH. Brilliant match, really good. Like, if you have not seen that one and you want to see probably the best Gorillas of Destiny match, sad that they peaked in 2016, but them and Honma and McAvey at some of their best tag matches as well. That's a really fun one to go back and watch.
Would you put that match though above any year's G1 final?
No.
Would you put it against? Would you put it against any New Japan Cup final?
No.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
No.
So, and here's the thing too. I know we do have a bias toward singles matches anyway. But you can, let's be honest, they don't give a fuck about the World Tag League as much as they did maybe in the 80s and maybe the early 90s, right? I mean, when it was called something different, all the different variations. I just don't think the company gives a fuck. and I hate to say it, like, it just, the proof's in the pudding. Like, every year, we take off specifically this time, every year because it's World Tag League. And every year we come back and it's like, well, We shrug our shoulders. We thank 2 or 3 groups of people doing, filling in for us, and then we gear up for Wrestle Kingdom. It's hardly significant. And I'll go so far as to say this year it's even less. So World Tag League is World Tag League. It's there.
Ruff says, the Young Bucks are some utter woke nonsense. Will Bishamon restore the natural order of things in the future? I mean, yeah, maybe it's Bishamon who wins the titles back, but how do you feel about the Young Bucks' involvement? Because I think it's very appropriate that nobody really cares about the New Japan Tag Division, and nobody cares about the Young Bucks either, so it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are... I think that whole card is a little weird. I don't... If crowd reaction... I know people said that the crowd reaction, when they made that announcement and they had the video package of them, that it didn't sound like anybody cared. But then, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we hear from people that were there and they said that it got a little bit of a better reaction than what came across on the mics?
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
I don't recall that.
No.
I have no memory of that.
Maybe. All right. Maybe I made that up in my head. Maybe it's just a narrative I wanted to.
Your brain just spawns Young Bucks apologia, even subconsciously.
They call me Woke Damon. I don't know if many people give a fuck, to be truthful. I'm going to be honest. I can't remember the last time I saw do the Young Bucks even fucking wrestle in AEW at this point? Can I ask that? Because I don't
think I've not seen them wrestle since Wembley, and that was a good while ago. Honestly, I think the biggest emotional response I have to this whole situation is feeling sorry for Henare, who's just got the shittest luck, who was presumably looking forward to having a big match at the Tokyo Dome against the Young Bucks. And now, yet again, injury has scuppered the plans. And even though I don't think he was winning, that's a hell of a thing to miss out on. Yeah.
It's a nice payday, too, I'm sure. Yeah, it sucks. The dude... and it was a relatively, I don't want to say anything as simple in pro wrestling, but it wasn't like he took like a blockbuster suplex from the top of a it was, pretty basic. Yeah, he can't catch a break. He had a really strong fucking year, and to have it end this way really is disappointing. Yeah, he's had a fucking year of injuries, man. I mean, he had his friggin' brain scrambled in the beginning of the year, and he goes out now with this. Do you know? Did he have to get surgery? Do you know?
I don't know. I've not seen any updates.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on New Japan. They announced his injury, but I don't know if he got surgery or not. Yeah, it fucking blows. It blows. Vote for both of them, and not for nothing, even Okan. He finally has something that's going right. He finally has something that he
gets the match. He's still
all right, great, but still, I mean, yeah, I guess he's going to have his mystery.
He's got a mystery partner. It's X. which presumably is going to be Taguchi.
Right.
But until further notice, I'm just assuming any ex in New Japan is going to be Taguchi.
Taguchi. Okay. Yeah. I would not expect. I'm going to be honest with you. I would not expect.
Straight at the rap. Here comes my mighty powerful partner.
Oh, I still have not gotten over that guy getting a clean pinfall over Liger. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I will say this. I wouldn't expect anything like monumental, like a, fucking, whomever, big surprise, Shinsuke Nakamura. No, I wouldn't expect anything like that. I would lean more toward a Taguchi type surprise, a Taguchi type X, as opposed to a Nakamura return type X.
Let's quickly talk about Sanada and his new coat of paint. That was great. I love that. That is the conversation. I'm going to ask the questions anyway, but you could just go, we'll move on. Will says, do you think the signs for Sanada in this turn are already much better than a couple of months into his just Five Guys turn? Even with the belt, it felt that quickly turned to more of the same. But the different energy is working well for me, like the way he wrestled a very different style in the tag versus Zack compared to his usual approach of trying to match his technical style. And Eric says, was Sanada in Bullet Club a bust, an interim Jake Lee switch, or just getting started? I don't think it was an interim thing. I don't think it was because of the Jake Lee thing, because we'd heard about the turn way before that. It was like around one time, so I don't think that was any kind of pivot. I can see, I think I agree with people that his moveset and his demeanour, the way he carries himself, is more appropriate for an arrogant heel than a heroic babyface. But I think just looking at this and looking at the fact that he's totally absent from the Wrestle Kingdom card, despite headlining last year's show as the reigning defending champion, tells you all you need to know about how the company viewed that particular push. Like, he's back in his lane now.
Yeah,
he's a perfectly fine upper mid carder that you can go to once in a while, and solid tag wrestler, and that's about it. It was worth a try. I enjoyed the experiment just as a thought exercise, because that's something that people have always wondered about. If you pull the trigger on Sanada, what would he look like? Would he be able to go to that next gear? The answer is no. So there we go. We found out now, and he goes back into the tag division. And I did think it was extraordinary, the fact that he's just not on the January 4th card at all. And I asked on social media, has this ever happened before? And people were like, yes, just a couple of years before that, when Shingo defended at Wrestle Kingdom, and then the following year he was on the pre-show. So I don't know if you can sort of look at that as a trend of non-dojo talent being leaned on for something one year and then just completely discarded the second year. I don't know if you think maybe that the fact that this is just sort of completely incidental and not significant, but I thought it was interesting anyway, going from main event to fuck all.
He's given. I name me another guy that's given so many, as we like to say, coats of paint. Right? Like, it's just like they just try and try and try and try and try, and it's the common denominator is Sanada. Right? There are times where it's like when they do these changes and you get a little glimmer of hope. Talk to me in like 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it happens all the time with this dude. And I'm beyond the point of giving a single solitary fuck about Sanada. But here's the thing too. Okay, he's not on the show as of right now. There is no. I mean, they still have to do KOPW, right?
Yeah, I mean, I assume there'll be some sort of pre-show battle royal. They usually do that.
Right. And like the last 4 guys in, then, they battle for that prestigious fucking title. Maybe that's...
I mean, we do have what looks like a finalised lineup for January 4th, which I'm looking at. We've got 9 matches, and I don't know, I've just got a feeling that is not going to change. I don't think he's going to be added to January 4th. I mean, maybe something on January 5th, maybe New Year Dash, I don't know, but the actual card for January 4th looks fairly set in stone.
Right. I mean, aside...
The reason I say this is because they've made the little graphic for it on Chris Charlton's English language website. You know,
Medium.com.
Match card. Yeah, and you get like the big JPEG of black on white background with all the matches. They ain't changing that. Once that's up, it's finalized.
Yeah, it's set in stone. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to miss him. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, he absolutely should be on the show. But yeah, it is weird that to have a guy that they've tried so many times, and it's just like, all right, when are they going to throw in the towel? When are they fucking going to throw in the towel? Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for Sonata making anything more than. I mean, you figured. I still think that they will do something with that KOP. I mean, even though it's pretty set in stone, the lineup, it looks like. Maybe on the pre-show. Who knows? Why am I spending 5 minutes talking about fucking
consternation about KOPW? I will just one last word on Sonata. All the people like on Reddit who are saying, "Oh, the J-Cast guy's always having a go at Sonata." We were right, and the company agrees with us. So eat shit.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the Wrestle Kingdom card then. So I'll read out the matches to you, and I'll give you a question, and you can talk to me about that. So first match, IWGP Junior Tag Team 4-way match with the Jet Setters. Kevin Knight Kushida against Kosei Fujita Robbie Eagles, against Akira and TJP, against Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors. Second match, IWGP Women's Championship match with Mayu Iwatani against Azam from Stardom. 3, we got the NJPW World TV Championship three-way match with Jeff Cobb versus Ryohei Oiwa versus Ren Narita. Fourth match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, final road lumberjack death match. So Tanahashi went mental on the World Tag League final card and started battering everyone with chairs. So it's Tanahashi against Evil. Tanahashi says if he loses, he's going to retire. And there's lumberjack stipulations. I think he's mentioned something like bringing lumberjacks from other promotions, if I'm not mistaken. Fifth match, Never Openweight Championship match with Shingo defending against Konosuke Takeshita. Sixth match, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Doki against El Desperado. Seventh match, IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship match, Yota Tsuji against David Finlay. Eighth match, special singles match, Tetsuya Naito against Hiromu Takahashi. And then ninth match, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Shota Umino against Zack Sabre Jr. And William says, with the Wrestle Kingdom card seemingly finalised, do you think this is the best card the company could have made for the Dome?
Yeah. Here's the thing I like. Again, we talked about it when we opened the show. If eventually this day was going to come, where every one of those young guys, except your never 6-man tag team champion and rookie of the year in Tokyo Sports, but everybody else seems to be well represented, and that's a good thing because this day would have to have happened anyway. So. Is this the best? It's good. I think it's a good lineup. I think it's a solid lineup. I think there's plenty of matches that people can sink their teeth into. Is it the best? I'm going to say no, only because I think a lot of people are questioning the main event. I think that's the biggest problem we have right now. People are questioning that main event. And is it the right guy that's in that spot? But everything else looks pretty solid.
Do you think if they just swapped around some of the Musketeers, let's say if it was Tsuji and Shota swapping places, do you think people would be looking at this more favourably? Is it just sort of suspicion towards Shota Umino that is preventing people from saying, yes, this is the best they could have done with the roster they've got?
I feel like, yes. Yeah. I feel like we have a guy who's shoehorned into a position that people are questioning, is that the right call? And look, if this guy... And let me be very clear. I think this falls on both the promotion and the wrestler. So, I don't think anybody's done anybody any favors here. Yeah, I don't think the right guy is in the main event. And the problem is that when you look back and you see like all the fucking missteps of building this guy up, guy hadn't won anything. I mean, yes, he beat a couple guys, in G1, like random.
I think he won some sort of raffle for the right to challenge it.
Maybe. Yeah. It's called having dad be pretty prominent in the company. That's the lottery he won. Look, I don't think I'm out of line with a lot of people's concerns with the idea of him on top, and an even scarier thought of him actually winning the title. I don't think he does, but I think that the possibility is absolutely on the table. Let's put it that way.
Matt says, could we see an exciting change of direction at the Wrestle Kingdom? There are a host of young dudes in big spots competing for gold, but I've lost faith in anything other than steady booking at this point. What are your hopes for the Vibe heading into 2025? No, I don't see any big shocking things like, if he's hinting at Shota winning, I don't think that's happening. I think I'm just happy having that next generation and the younger guys in prominent spots up and down the card. There's not really anyone not on there that I think should be, apart from Oleg Bolton. I would have liked to see him on there. But aside from that, I'm pretty happy with it. But my hopes for the Vibe heading into 2025 is that this card over-delivers from a match quality perspective and people walk away from it thinking, actually, that main event was pretty fucking great and Shota's got it. I think that is the biggest win that I could hope for as a New Japan fan, that he goes out there and looks like a star and wrestles like a star.
Yeah. Yes. But 1,000%. Like if you're talking about best case scenario, that would be it. Yep. That they have a match that is, the buzz is buzzable. People are talking about it. People are impressed. Shota reaches another level and, everybody turns off that show, in the very early morning or afternoon or wherever the fuck you are watching it, and are happy. Look, I don't think we're going to turn off the fucking tube and be, as one Joe Lanza would love to say, pacing in his living room. I don't think we're going to have any of that. But yeah, that would be the perfect scenario. And honestly, the perfect scenario, every one of those young guys kind of showcasing themselves, and you feel good going into 2025. Again, I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but this day had to come, whether we were ready or not. This day had to come. When we were screaming on the mountaintops, though, would they fucking start doing some shit with these guys because we need stars and blah blah blah? Would it have been better that they kind of got moving on that quicker? Yes, but again, we have to start somewhere. So and here we are. And I think the card up and down, honestly, it may not be you might not get shivers down your fucking spine, but a lot of times these shows where you don't have it turn out to be pretty fucking great. And I would not be surprised if there are a ton of guys in that locker room who might have a little chip on their shoulder and might want to go out there and be like, you know what, balls to the wall, and we're going to fucking blow the roof off this joint. Like there has to be. I'm begging them to have that. Like I want every person in that fucking locker room to be a little bit angry, a little bit disrespected, a little bit, you don't think I'm okay? Well, let me show you. Like that's what I want. That would be chef's kiss, ideal scenario.
As Aurelio says, what one realistic match both of you would have wanted in this year's Wrestle Kingdom, but you have to take one match out and sub yours in. The only one I thought we might get would be Sanada versus Taichi, but I'm not heartbroken that it's not on there. I mean, I always like to see more Taichi, but I'm not, banging at the door saying, I want a Sanada singles match at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm perfectly happy with the card as it is. So, yeah, I wouldn't change anything from here. Is there anything that you think this card is lacking?
I mean, if it's lacking anything, it's probably that one superstar power guy in a big match. We're probably missing, but we have the heavy, the hard hitting, heavy hitting never match. We have a junior match that should be pretty great. We have a junior tag that's going to open the show. Then they're going to fucking go 150,000 miles an hour. I'll tell you what. One guy that we haven't talked about that will need to. It would be great if, and I'm not going to say needs to, but it would be great if we're talking about over delivering, and that's David Finlay. Like that, like if that match is great, and I don't think anyone is circling that match and saying, "Oh, this is going to be fucking great." But if it does turn out to be great, that there's certain matches that are going to be great. It's those matches that you're questionable on. If they turn out to be great, you're looking at a show of the year.
William says, any thought on the TMDK heavy team not being involved on the card for the Dome? So, I mean, Shane and Mikey had those tag titles for a significant chunk of the year and are not featured on Wrestle Kingdom. Now, my understanding of that is purely financial because, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mikey is based in Australia and Shane is based in the US. So it's just expensive to fly them over and have them work in these dates. And obviously, they didn't see the value in that for Wrestle Kingdom.
I know.
Given the year that they've had, I don't think they made any sort of indisputable case that demanded they had to be on Wrestle Kingdom. I'd say probably a fair call there. I think we'll see them at the start of next year, but again, I'm not going to be crying into my strong zero that they're not featured on either of these shows.
No, I agree, but I will also say, and I never like to say they deserve it, but I don't know. I mean, we're going through a bunch of names. Tai Chi, we're going through Sonata, Team DK. There's a few names that, have. I think everybody, if you wrestle and work for New Japan Pro Wrestling, you want to be on fucking Wrestle Kingdom. It's the biggest show of the fucking year. And I can't imagine them not being disappointed that they're not on. I can't imagine. It's a big deal. It's the biggest show of the fucking year. The most eyeballs on the product. You want to be on that show. So if I were them, I would be disappointed. That's for sure.
All right, let's take a look at the Wrestle Dynasty card then. So we don't have a match order set, but what we've got announced so far is special singles match Shota Umino versus Claudio Castagnoli, special singles match Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet, and depending on who wins the main event on January 4th, there will be different titles at play in that. Special singles match Yota Tsuji versus Jack Perry, special singles match David Finlay against Brody King. The IWGP Tag Champion Decider, Great O'Khan plus mystery partner against the Young Bucks. International Women's Cup 4-way match featuring Stardom, AEW, ROH, and CMLL. Never Openweight Championship match, Tomohiro Ishii against the winner of Takagi versus Takeshita. And special singles match, Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd.
This is... there are a lot of special singles matches that I don't think people have ever clamored for. You know what I mean? Like, they brought back guys that, one, for the most part, at least have had an appearance and a tour of New Japan. It's. I can't imagine it being a bad show, truth be told. Like, the lineup is pretty... They got some talented guys. Are they guys that like, and trust me, don't get me wrong. I like Brody King. I do. I don't think anybody was like, oh, great. The return of Brody King in a very high profile singles match. Again, just shows up and accepts the challenge, right? Weird, this company. Like I said,
I assume it was going to be Juice Robinson until he got injured, but
you might be
who
right.
knows? I mean, I think William says, do you think the Wrestle Dynasty card amplifies the current relationship between AEW and New Japan? Eric says, do you foresee any of the AEW Wrestle Dynasty people appearing again in Japan this year? No to both questions. I think it just, in a nutshell, shows the AEW New Japan relationship, which is just really chaotic. Not in a wholly negative way, I think New Japan have got a lot of good out of it this year. I've said before in other conversations that getting Takeshita for the whole G1 is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think getting Kenny Omega on January 5th to wrestle Gabe Kidd is great. So I don't believe that, we're getting big lead or that Tony Khan is disrespected in New Japan. I just think it's such a chaotic, disorganized mess of a company, for better or for worse, that it's always going to be less than what you hope it could be. Because, when we heard about this Wrestle Dynasty show, and I talked to people who know people, and the initial expectations were that this is going to be like a super show with, all your favorite stuff from 2018 to 2019. And that's not what's transpired. I think it's quite clear that plans have drastically changed for a lot of the direction for these matches. But that's just the nature of the relationship at this point. You can't build anything coherent or long term because it's such a sloppy shop over there.
Right. They don't have that what you outlined. Like, yeah. So how would they be able to transfer that over to this show? Let me ask you this:
like even something as small as like not having John Moxley on this card when he was the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion for a chunk of the year, and he's not even on this show.
Right. Yeah. That's a head scratcher, right? That's a head scratcher. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Tony Khan arrives at the Tokyo Dome?
He ain't setting foot in Japan, my friend. We both know this.
That's the funniest fucking thing. It really is to this day. Yeah. What?
There have been 3 things that I've heard where I've been like, what the actual shit? That's been one of them.
Yeah.
The merchandise situation, the
T-shirt,
the golden lovers thing, and then the thing that we're not allowed to talk about anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Those are the 3 where I've been like, oh my God.
Right. We do have some fucking amazing tales, man. Oh, I can't wait for us to write the book. That'd be great. Yeah. I can't imagine. What's the end game here with this relationship?
There isn't one.
It doesn't feel like there is.
Or just lending each other talent as and when it's deemed necessary. I like it, actually. I know I've been very negative about it before, but I think it adds a bit of unpredictability, a little bit of spice. Sometimes there's stuff where I'm just thinking, this is ridiculous, and I get angry about it. But then sometimes you get really cool stuff. So it's a bit like a mystery box, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the X factor, if you will. Yeah. I like I said, I think on paper this show is really fucking good. It's just one of these weird outside the box fantasy book thing that quite honestly, all right, let's lay it out there. I mean, look at all the AEW people that you would think would be on this show that aren't on this show, right? And for all the reasons that we've talked about a trillion times of we're not here to outshine New Japan stuff. We're not bringing back guys, we get it. But look at the people who aren't on this show. You know what I mean? Like there's Mox, and again Okada and Ospreay, and there's I don't know
Jay White.
Jay White, is he hurt? I'm not 100% sure. He could be. I don't know. I don't watch it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names that aren't on the show that you would think, okay, given the relationship, you would think, okay, great, no brainer, that aren't on. So again, Brody King, I like Brody King. Did anyone
tell you what? Let New Japan have him full time. They can make much better use of him than AEW do.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what I would like to see. That I think would improve the relationship. More long-term talent exchanges, even not necessarily permanently, but just give us Brody King for a year or even 6 months. Like just do like the Jonah run for him.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that. Fine. But the idea of him just showing up, like, what is he? I don't know. It just makes no sense. Why am I wasting my brain power on it, trying to make sense of it? It's a stellar show. It's a stacked lineup. The show should be very good, but outside of that, it's just going to be a great show. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be just this out of the ordinary, random, great show at the Dome. Let's just sit back and fucking enjoy it and not think about what could be and what are they going to do. And it's a show. It literally is a show where a bunch of wrestling promotions are going to make a couple bucks. That's really it at this point.
Yeah, cool matches in a vacuum.
Yep.
That's I think what we're hoping for. Right, I'm going to run through the 2 Road to Tokyo Dome Korakuen Hall cards because there's some interesting stuff on these. So Sunday, December 22nd, we've got Chase Your Dream match with Sho Makato against an opponent of his choice. There we got Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tenkoji reuniting to face Oleg Boltin and Toriano. We got a 3-way match with Jeff Cobb and Jacob Austin Young against Hartley Jackson and Ryohei Oiwa against Yujiro and Ren. Then we have got Taka and Doki against Wato and Despi. So Wato and Despi teaming up again. That's fun.
Yeah.
4-way match, Kevin Knight against Francesco Akira against Robbie Eagles against Drilla Maloney.
Wow.
So that's half of the junior tag match at Wrestle Kingdom, and the other half are going to be wrestling at the US show taking place this weekend. We've got Bushi, Shingo, and Tsuji against Gedo, Sanada, and Finlay. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Shota Umino against Fujita and Zack. And their main event is a KOPW 2024 provisional match, Great Okan against Taichi. And they have suggested stipulations for this, and I'll try and find out what they are. So Taichi said a best of KOPW, best 2 out of 3 falls match. And he put every single stipulation that he had wrestled for the KOPW over, put them all in a box, and he picked 3 out from the box. And Okan was saying, no, a real competitor would wrestle every stipulation in one match. Taichi said, in the interest of time, there would be a maximum of just 3. So he was drawing these out of a box. And the first one was a no-rope sumo match. The second is a Yoshinobu Kanemaru special referee match, which is very weird and funny now that he's not associated with either guy. And the third match, should it be required, is the Shingo Takagi style last man standing lumberjack match. And I think he crossed out Shingo's name off of that. So he's suggesting a best 2 out of 3 match using those stipulations.
Wow.
And Okan has suggested a Korakuen Hall revitalization match.
I was about to say, is there a any farmer's produce, grain, vegetable?
No.
Yeah, okay.
This is a Great United Anywhere Full match where any competitor can bring any number of partners to assist in this no DQ Anywhere Falls match. The only requirement is that the title holder and challenger are the only ones who could go for a pinfall. I like Taichi's. Taichi's is very fun and creative, so I hope that one wins. But yeah, that's that for the 22nd. And the 23rd, we've got another Chase Your Dream match. This time it's Katsuya Murashima who gets to choose his opponent. Then we've got Jeff Cobb against Hartley Jackson. Big boy match. I love that. That's good. Then we've got Kevin Knight and Kushida against Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles. Then we've got Francesco Akira and TJP against Drilla and Clark. So we've got a pair of really tasty junior heavyweight tag matches there. There we got Taka, Taichi, and Doki against Wato, Kojima, and Despi. Jado, Honma, Oleg, Yano, and Tanahashi against Kanemaru, Sho, Yujiro, Ren, and Evil. Bushi, Shingo, and Tsuji against Gedo, Sanada, and Finlay. And to end the year, it's a special tag match, Tomohiro Ishii and Shota Umino versus Ryohei Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr.
What do you think? Snowflakes for Shota?
I want snowflakes for Ishii. See him standing there, just looking completely nonplussed as all the snowflakes fall on him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, you could give him the whim, and maybe, Joel, he cuts this promo at the end that just resonates with the people and gets everybody all fired up for Wrestle Kingdom. That would be great. We'll see if that happens.
I'll fucking kill you, you piece of shit.
Really, that'd be so great. Just goes fucking mental. Yeah. I mean, we could. Yeah. They got to do something, man. They got to. I don't know. They got to do something. They got to do something.
They've done all right. I think the interactions they've had on World Tag League have been good. Again, very low bar, but they've done better than Sanada and Naito did building their match last year, and better than Jay and Okada did the year prior to that. But again, I'd like to have higher expectations for my Tokyo Dome main event than that. But yeah,
you know what? You go back into history, we've probably moaned about build up to main events for Wrestle Kingdom every fucking year. Remember the Kenny fucking, was it Kenny and
work shoot nonsense? With
oh my God. Yeah. I mean, there's been quite a few where we've been like, what the fuck? And you know what? Everything's turned out all right in the end. So, all right. I mean, if everything turned out, you mean we lost all of our
they all quit. Right. Japan went into a dark age.
Right. If
there was a global pandemic.
Yeah, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut right now. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We have a show happening this Sunday, December 15th in Long Beach. It is Strong Style Evolved.
Wow.
So we're going to kick that off with the Strong Survivor match.
Oh, Christ.
Matt Vandergriff against Zane J. And I think the winner of this gets the challenge for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. They get added to the Zack Shota match. That'll become a three-way.
Yeah.
So I believe that's what this is building up to. We've got Mina Shirakawa against Johnny Robbie, who is a New Japan Academy graduate, so that'll be an interesting one. Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. Grizzled Young Veterans James Drake and Zach Gibson against the West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
it's a shame. I used to like them, but now they're just a punchline to a sad joke.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's again, it's a new Dusty Tully, man. They're gonna fucking run that. I think that it might be in their contracts. They can only work with each other. All right. Anyway,
then we got Kushida against Kosei Fujita against TJP against Clark Connors, a four-way match. Little preview that's the other side to the coin of the match that's happening at Korakuen Hall. Singles match, Leo Rush against Hechicero. That should be quite good. I like that. Yeah. We've got Titan and Hiromu Takahashi against Jacob Austin Young and brand new United Empire recruit Templario, which I want to be excited about because he's cool, but I'm also thinking back to all those reports that said Soberano Jr. was signed to New Japan, and you cannot find him with the search party. We have a strong open weight championship match with Ryohei Oiwa challenging Gabe Kidd. We've got Bad Dude Tito, Shane Hastings, Zack Sabre Jr. against Fred Rosser, Tom Lawler, and Shota Umino. So, they do. So Fred and Tom get to interact with a Japanese wrestler. That's interesting.
How about that?
And a special tag team grudge match: Yota Tsuji and Shingo Takagi against Jack Perry and Konosuke Takeshita. Strong Women's Championship match is our main event: Mercedes Moné against Hazuki.
Monet in the house. That's not a bad show. That's not a bad show. It's not a great show, but that's not a bad. I'll tell you what, the fact that you get as you said, the other side of the coin with the junior tag split up, in the four-way, that should be really good. It's not a bad show. I mean, I can't believe that we're still going with Monet, but I felt like that experiment was.
I think we're just sort of using up contractual dates, aren't we?
I feel like it. I hope, it is what it is. That's not a terrible show, Joel. It's not a terrible show.
Unlike this episode of the Super J-Cast, which was a terrible show, and we'll see you all next week. No, that's not a good segue.
Wow.
We've got exciting stuff coming up next week. We're teaming up with our friends over at Keeping It Strong Style.
We are. We figure, why not? No. I think one of our favorite shows of the year was, when we had a little round table discussion. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun. And I think a lot of good New Japan Pro Wrestling talk there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Yeah, join the Patreon, please. Give us money, and we'll see you later.
Later.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.